You're gonna need to get one-on-one with him.
Not in the showers.
Niko Bellic hit the streets of Liberty City and quickly made a name for himself doing others' dirty work for a bit of cash. I counted every kill he got throughout the main story to see if he'd topple the kill count of the 3 protagonists in GTA 5 I covered in a previous video. This doesn't include any side missions, and even though Niko appears briefly in both Johnny's and Luis's story, he doesn't gain any extra kills there. Lastly, GTA 4 allows the player to injure enemies to take them out of the fight, so to ensure an actual kill is earned, every one of these is certified. The game opens with Niko getting to Liberty City and quickly realizing his cousin Roman lied about the luxurious life he was living in America. On top of that, he is disrespected constantly by Vlad, who he is indebted to, along with some Albanian loan sharks that are attempting to intimidate Roman into paying them. Niko loves his family though and won't stand to let Roman get beat up, so he throws hands on his behalf and chases the loan sharks away, but they continue to harass Roman, which ultimately leads to a more severe ass beating for 2, who are later confirmed dead in the LCPD database. The third guy runs off and is treated much more harshly. After doing Roman a few favors, as if he hasn't done enough for him already, Niko picks up a regular at his cab company. Little Jacob asks Niko to accompany him to a meeting and takes the high ground in case things go sour, which they do when several uninvited fellas show up looking to do the fast-speaking Jamaican harm. Niko guns down the 4 offenders and earns Little Jacob's trust. Afterwards, Niko calls looking for some work, so he drives the always stoned criminal to a drug deal. Niko parks in the alley in case they try to pull some funny business, which leads to 3 of them getting run over and the rest of their group getting gunned down at home for trying to pull one over on Jacob. The next 3 missions have Niko doing favors for Vlad due to Roman's debt he's unable to pay off. He performs some classic mobster duties by demanding protection money and forcing it out of store owners. But the 3rd mission has Niko chasing down a man named Ivan Bichkov for demanding money from Roman. Eventually he catches up to him on some rooftops and shoots him in the back as he tries to get away. By this point, both Niko and us as players are sick of Vlad's attitude, and the next mission thankfully allows us to yeet this loudmouth asshole from the game. After learning that Roman's girlfriend Mallory is also banging Vlad, Niko can't handle the disrespect Vlad continues to show Roman and beelines it to the bar he's at. He shoots both of Vlad's men as the booger sugar addict tries to escape, but after a couple minutes they catch up to him and Niko mercilessly executes him by the water. His death sends Roman into a panic, because Vlad works for some very powerful Russian mobsters, but Niko's attitude is on the opposite end of the spectrum. This is where we learn that he came to Liberty City to track down a man that betrayed his squad during the Yugoslavian War, and nearly got all of them killed. Later on, Niko finds out that Roman's fear wasn't entirely unfounded, as they get jumped and taken to a strange basement and tied up. This is where he meets Mikhail and Dmitri, who honestly couldn't give a shit about Vlad's death. Instead, they employ Niko to do their dirty work, with the first job leading to another kill after confiscating a van full of TVs. He quickly learns these 2 are dysfunctional and have completely different mindsets on how to run their business.
You alright?
Niko takes a break from the Russians to meet up with Jacob again to do some of his work. There was a guy eating into Jacob's profit margin, so Niko tracks him down and busts into their apartment, gunning all 3 of them down. Afterwards, he links up with the Russians and Dmitri informs Mikhail that the feds are onto them. This causes Mikhail to overreact and demand Niko go kill Lenny Petrovich, a man he believes is a snitch despite Dmitri telling him otherwise. Niko finds him waiting for the train and informs Lenny that Mikhail hates its face. This causes a shootout that has Niko taking down Lenny and his friend along with this rando that jumped in the way and died due to his misguided heroics. Niko continues his work with the Russians and is tasked with killing the boyfriend of Mikhail's daughter. He gets there and finds he's a member of the Lost MC biker gang. Jason Michael rides off, claiming his biker buddies are going to find him and wail on him. But instead, Niko chases him down and doesn't blink an eye when 5 more of his gang join the fray, because that means more kills to tally up. Niko spends some time getting on the line before he does another job for Mikhail that has him driving a truck rigged with a bomb to a garage. He sets it to explode and gets out of its range right on time, killing 3 people nearby. Roman introduces Niko to one of his weird-ass friends named Brucey, who is on completely different wavelengths than Niko, but Brucey has cash he's willing to part with, and that's all that Niko cares about. So he accepts a hit job from him and assassinates a man named Lyle Rivas due to his inability to pay Brucey back. He also asks him to take Lyle's car, which some other violent people are after, but this mission doesn't result in any more kills for Niko. He'll make up for that in the next mission that has Dmitri regretfully asking Niko to kill his partner, Mikhail. His unstable nature forces Dmitri's hand into taking over the business, and he promises Niko he'll be spared by Lenny's father as long as he's the one that kills Mikhail personally. He gets to the club and confronts him, showing true anger out of nowhere, and kills 10 of his loyal men and finishing the job off on the rooftop. Afterwards, Dmitri asks Niko to meet him at a warehouse by the water. But before he gets over there, little Jacob calls to warn Niko not to trust Dmitri. He asks for the meetup location and says he'll be there to provide backup. And it's a good thing that Jacob is such a bro, because Dmitri attempts to lure Niko into an ambush with a man named Mr. Bulgarin, who believes Niko fucked him over during a smuggling job back in Europe. With Jacob's help, Niko kills 14 of his men before they escape the warehouse and get back to safety. Afterwards, he finds Roman and tells him about the shit that just went down and how they are no longer safe, so they intend to stop by Roman's apartment to pick up a few things, only to find it ablaze along with his cab depot. With Roman furious at Niko for ruining his hard work, they drive to Mallory's house in Bohan and set up there, where she introduces Niko to Manny for some work. Manny Escuela is a cringe lord that has good intentions but lacks the conviction to actually follow through on his promise to clean up the streets, instead offloading the dirty work to Niko, who starts out by removing 9 dealers from this life. His next paying job is a short and straightforward one that doesn't even require getting out of the car. Taking 2 jobs in a row for Manny is more than enough, and for a palate cleanser, Niko decides to call up another person who is just as extra.
Hit me, come on!
He meets Brucey at his home with Roman and finds out they set up a dating profile in order to lure Lyle's cousin out of hiding. It works and results in yet another kill paid for by Brucey Boy. Mallory also introduces Niko to Elisabetta, who is a well-known dealer in this part of town. She asks him to accompany Patrick McCreary to a deal with some people she doesn't trust. Packy asks Niko to set up camp on the rooftop across the street and back them up in case they need it. Turns out Elisabetta was right not to trust these guys, to meet a bloody end courtesy of Sniper Niko. That earns some trust with her and another paying job that has Niko tag along to a deal with Playboy X and Johnny Klebitz out of the biker gang Niko helped reduce by 6 members earlier. They get there, but there is no deal. Only cops looking to bust them. Niko and Playboy fight their way out with several well-armed cops in the way, but 16 kills later, Niko helps navigate the violent situation and get Playboy back to his home safely. After that, he links up with Manny again, who is pissed some old boys of his are trashing his name, so Niko waits for them outside of their train stop and guns the 3 of them down. What comes next is by far the most violent mission thus far, when Niko's tasked with retrieving some lost product for Elisabetta. I found out afterwards that there's a much easier way of doing this mission by going around back. But by going the straightforward route, Niko increases his kill count by 35 between the thugs and cops that attempt to do the same to him. Niko meets with Jacob afterwards, but they're ambushed by Michelle, Mallory's friend from the beginning of the game, and Niko finds out she's a Fed and has been using him for intel. She demands he turns the product over to her and warns them that Elisabetta is going down. She certainly feels them closing in on her too, because the next mission shows her coming unhinged and angrily shooting Manny and his cameraman in the head. She has Niko take them to a doctor who will harvest their organs.
They're gonna help a lot of folks. He'd been trying to help the streets his whole life.
With that dirty job over, Niko gets a text from an unknown person asking to meet up. He finds out it's Patrick McCreary's brother and a corrupt cop, Francis, who demands Niko kill his blackmailer. The next 3 missions bump Niko's count up exponentially, and it's all thanks to that crazy Irish bastard Packy. First, he has Niko assist with stealing from the Triads, and that results in 18 deaths. Then they target the Ancelotti family and their money, which earns Niko another 29 kills. Finally, one of the most well-known missions in the game, and a precursor to the awesome heist missions in GTA 5, they rob the bank of Liberty City. Things go smoothly at first outside of some bickering, until this idiot wannabe hero shoots one of them in the chest, earning himself a quick death on the linoleum of the bank. Niko grabs the cash and they begin their fight out of there, with 25 cops meeting their end on the streets and another 20 down in the subway. Niko continues his kill streak by working with Packy's brother Francis. He submits his resume to a law firm in order to get close to Goldberg, a lawyer who has a vendetta against the crooked cop. He sits down for his interview and objects at the lawyer's methods so he can grab the files, then does what he does best and takes Goldberg out. The job doesn't end there though, because several security guards who all look alike team up with police for 9 more kills. Afterwards, Niko collaborates with Playboy for a couple missions and meets the fresh out of prison Dwayne.
Motherfucker must think I'm an idiot.
The first mission provides another large bump in kills when he takes down 27 Union lackeys at a construction site, with a helicopter explosion earning a
triple kill.
The following mission only nets him one more kill after he stands in the middle of the street and nonchalantly snipes the dude in the face after confirming his identity with Playboy. Niko then goes back to Francis to do more of his bidding in order to keep him out of prison. He's assigned with taking down a criminal that has evidence against Francis and heads to his location in the projects. I thought I'd be sneaky here and just shoot the guy from the street, but as soon as I took my gun out, his gang turned aggro, which resulted in 14 kills. However, Francis isn't happy with Niko's work and furiously tells him he didn't kill everyone. And now another guy is holed up in an apartment waiting to talk to the feds. So Niko is tasked with another murder to help this idiot cop stay on the streets. Niko climbs to the roof and notices the phone number on the phone. He gives it a call to lure the guy off his ass and empties the contents of his skull. On his drive back, Niko gets a call from Mallory claiming Roman has been kidnapped by some Russian mobsters. So he stops what he's doing and heads to their warehouse to begin a rescue mission. He incessantly tells the Russians they will not harm his cousin while he guns down all 31 of them in order to get Roman back to safety. Roman promises to stop gambling as long as Niko promises not to fuck with the Russians anymore, but we all know neither of those promises will hold up. He'll work to get an apartment in Algonquin so he can leave Bohan behind. But in the meantime, Niko meets up for a playdate with Dwayne, who is finding life outside of prison more difficult than he anticipated. Everyone he knew seems to have left him behind, despite the support he provided his girl Charisse, who is now dick-riding a snitch. Niko is a nice guy though, who offers to go get his money back, and murders both Charisse and her dude in the process. He goes back to Dwayne, who continues to be one morose motherfucker, so to cheer him up, Niko decides to get his old club back. He simply needs to remove current management from the premises, along with any security that may take their job too seriously. Afterwards, Niko discovers Playboy did business with those guys, and he isn't too happy about their loss. Niko gets a call to meet Michelle, otherwise known as Karen to everyone else, who introduces him to her boss that wants to utilize Niko's skills to get some work done. This is all to fight terrorism, or so the asshole claims. Niko tracks down and kills several people for this man and ends their partnership for now with a joint helicopter mission alongside Jacob, who is the one that gets the final kills. With that done, he promises Niko he'll use his resources to try and find the men he's looking for. While he waits for intel from the government, Niko does some work with the McCrearys. Jerry is looking to ignite a feud between the Ancelotti family and the Albanian mafia by making it seem the Albanians are killing off the Ancelottis. He has Niko plant a bomb on the Italians' car and follows them to a factory where he detonates it and kills off the survivors. He continues his work with Jerry and further stokes the fire by posing as an Albanian biker that assassinates a high-ranking Ancelotti jabroni. After that's done, Niko gets a call from Playboy X, who insinuates that Dwayne needs to be dealt with and that Niko is the right man for the job. And then Dwayne calls and says he believes Playboy wants him dead. This gives us a choice between who to kill, and as far as I could tell, there isn't a confirmed canon choice here, only speculation based on what the game gives you as a reward afterwards. I personally feel that Niko would have sympathy for Dwayne and would choose him over Playboy, so he guns down Playboy and his crew to keep Dwayne alive. Niko continues his work with the McCrearys, but this time it's with their addict brother Derek, who wants a man named Bucky Sligo and his mates killed for threatening Derek and his family. So that's exactly what Niko does. He begins work with Ray Bacino, a member of the Pegorino crime family who wants to utilize Niko's skills after hearing about him from the McCrearys. He tells Niko he'll do some digging to help him find the people he's looking for, but in the meantime sends him to assassinate a man named Teddy for interfering in their business. Niko gets to the projects and is faced with murdering 20 thugs, including Teddy. His next job doesn't include any kills, as he serves as the driver during a trash pickup that includes hidden diamonds. He leaves them with Luca and his crew before departing, to go help Derek out again with a couple errands. The first one has them escorting a Korean contact of Derek's that is in possession of counterfeit bills that others are trying to steal. Each boat contains one driver and one shooter, and the chopper at the end looks to contain 2 guys as well, bumping the kill total up by 10 in all. The second job tasks Niko with the murder of Aiden O'Malley, a man being escorted by police to another location, but Packy warns him he's heavily guarded and needs a solid plan to pull it off. Niko picks up a large truck and a rocket launcher, then parks it in a tunnel to block their path. Once they're in the tunnel, Packy blocks the other side and they assault the convoy, netting 7 more kills. Once they're dealt with, they grab the prisoner and lead him to a secluded spot to end his life and give Derek McCreary a little peace of mind. His little partnership with Derek is not appreciated by Francis though, who orders Niko to kill his junkie brother, who is threatening to offload a ton of information to a journalist about the McCreary family. He has aspirations of being the police commissioner and cannot have Derek sabotaging that, which presents us with yet another choice: kill Derek or kill Francis. This is similar to the Dwayne and Playboy choice. However, it seems some people claim Derek is the canon choice based on a comment pack he makes in GTA 5 about Derek being dead. I don't necessarily think that makes it the canon choice though, because it's not specified how he died, and considering Derek's state during this game, it's not far-fetched to think he overdosed or got himself killed somehow. So I say fuck Francis, and shoot that corrupt cop right in his dumb mustachioed face. I also think Niko would not tolerate being yanked around by a crooked cop who has threatened him several times by this point. The next few missions are for Ray Boccino, with the first one bumping the kill count over 400 when Niko kills Luca and his crew for stealing some of those diamonds. Before the next mission starts, Niko tells Ray he's sick of doing shit for him and demands he find a man named Florian Kravitch. After a little giggle, Ray promises Niko he'll find the guy and asks him to meet Johnny at a museum to help oversee the diamond exchange. But things go south when they're jumped, and Niko has to fight his way out. The third mission has Niko taking down 2 bikers as revenge for Johnny ripping them off during the diamond exchange, with the second guy basically being a fucking Terminator. The final job for Ray has Niko taking down the diamond dealer who is threatening to snitch since he blames Ray for the failed exchange. That results in 24 more deaths in Niko's corner. Afterwards, Ray finally comes through and gives Niko the information he's looking for. He knows a man named Talbot who claims to know Florian Kravitch, but he needs some convincing, and with Roman's help, he leads us to Florian's apartment. Niko boots his door down and quickly realizes that Florian, who now goes by Bernie, is not the man that betrayed them.
Because I'm fabulous!
Which confirms the other man named Darko is the one that got their squad killed and is now the one Niko's going to hunt down. In the meantime, Niko attends Francis's funeral, which gets attacked by the Albanians due to Jerry's meddling in their affairs. They didn't anticipate Niko being there, however, and die for their miscalculation. Niko visits Jerry in prison soon after to continue fucking with the Ancelotti family. This time, instead of instigating conflict between 2 factions, they go directly for the family by kidnapping their leader's daughter, Grace. She doesn't make things easy though, requiring Niko to KO her in her own vehicle in order to get her to their safe house, where he takes photo evidence of her kidnapping. While the McRearys have the pleasure of dealing with her, Niko gets a panicked message from Bernie who needs his help. He arrives at his apartment to find out he's being targeted by a hater at the park and wants Niko to help sort it out. They go running, and while Niko keeps his distance, he witnesses a bigot smash Bernie with his bat, which ultimately leads to his death. He continues helping him out since his boyfriend Bryce is apparently assisting with locating Darko, but some blackmailers are threatening to oust Bryce's relationship with Bernie. Niko accompanies him to the meeting spot and finds out they're working for Dimitri, so when they refuse to cooperate, Niko ends their existence in a fiery blaze. The following mission has a similar end, except this time it occurs on water. Once Niko gets back on land, he's summoned by the McRearys to help relocate Grace, whose location has been found out by the Ancelottis. He leaves right on time as they show up and shoot at him, but he loses them and offloads her onto Packy. While the McRearys try to use Grace for leverage, Niko meets up with Phil Bell, who he met earlier doing work for Ray Boccino. He wants Niko to steal a large amount of brown from the triads, which results in 13 deaths before one of them takes off with a truck. Niko's fast Serbian ass chases it down so he can take out the driver and secure the loot. Niko's professionalism has impressed the head of the Pecorino crime family, which means he earns the honor of working for Jimmy Pecorino himself. Ray pops in to firmly plant his lips directly on Jimmy's bussy.
Because I care.
Niko drives Jimmy and a couple of his men to a meet with the Bavano family in order to offer a tribute so Jimmy can try and earn a spot on the commission that oversees all mafia activities in Liberty City. Niko takes his position with a sniper rifle in case things go south, which they definitely do when Jimmy's popped in the stomach and his men killed. That results in Niko dismantling the Pavanos from up top and on ground level. He recovers the injured Jimmy and helps him back to his vehicle, where they chase down the 4 remaining members to murder them and take back his tribute. The following mission has Niko deliver some payback to the Bavano family, where he destroys 7 of their men along with several vehicles and a stupid cop who tried to play hero. While Jimmy heals from his gut wound, Niko links up with Phil again and tags along to another deal. This time, they get into a stolen truck to pose as the Ancelottis. But when they show up to the docks to get to the goods, the security senses something is off, which leads to a firefight that sees 20 guys get shot dead. The sugar is loaded in the boats, so Niko takes one and Phil grabs the other, but 4 more adversaries are lying in wait nearby and end up getting dealt with like their brethren. Afterwards, Phil needs Niko to take out Ancelotti underboss Charles Matteo, before he can report Phil's complicity in the previous mission to the commission. So Niko shows up at the derelict factory building to kill him and all of his men, for a large bump in kills. He continues his work with Phil and accompanies him to the old house they stashed the triad goods in earlier. But the feds were lying in wait and cause a mad chase through the neighborhood. Eventually, they ditch their cars and the cops close them into the alley, which has Niko pulling out the big guns for 12 kills. house. They get into a van and make their getaway with all the goods intact. So with the Pegorinos taken care of for now, Niko helps Packy with finally exchanging Grace Ancelotti for those diamonds he collected for Ray several missions ago. However, like a cockroach, Mr. Bulgren pops up telling Niko he's always trying to steal from him. But this bitch needs to know he's not the main character and nobody ever thinks about him. Unfortunately for now, he ruins the exchange, which makes Packy and Niko gun their way out of the situation. They're unable to recover the diamonds since one of his men drops them into a passing dump truck. But rest assured, his well-deserved death is counted in the previous bunch. Niko heads to the hospital on the recommendation of his government contact so he can meet John Gravelli, the old dying don of the Gambetti crime family. He was promised this will ultimately lead to Darko, so Niko is willing to do some more grunt work for the Mafia in exchange. The Russians are moving in on John's business and one of his friends is in town to give a speech about the rising threat of Russian organized crime, so he wants Niko to escort him to City Hall alive. They're attacked on the way and Niko urges Bobby into the alleyway so he can kill off the Russians. He drives him to City Hall where he presumably gives his speech without issue, then drives back to the hospital for another mission. John gives Niko some great news. Darko has been found in Bucharest and is being transported to Liberty City. But in the meantime, he needs Niko to take out Kim Young-guk, the Korean counterfeiter he helped Derek bring into town earlier. John doesn't like that the counterfeit bills are in circulation and asks Niko to take care of it, which he does post-haste. The next mission with John tasks Niko with disrupting a deal between the Russians and the Ancelottis. There's a shitload of product being stashed in vans awaiting to be shipped around the country, so Niko has to destroy all of it to prevent that from happening. He sneaks into the compound and begins taking all the guards out, earning 19 more kills while he blows up each van. While he waits for them to bring Darko into the country, he heads to Jimmy's house and is greeted with a shotgun. Pegorino found out his bodyguard was wearing a wire and has a ton of evidence that can put him away. So he's feeling the pressure and doesn't trust anyone. Anthony the bodyguard has a heart attack out of pure fear and is under guard at the hospital. So Niko goes there and guns him and the security down. With that done, he goes back to Jimmy's house to find a war council taking place. But Phil and Ray soon depart so Jimmy can tell Niko he needs one of them dead, and ultimately selects Ray as tribute. Ray knows something may be up and hired extra security, but they can't do shit against the rocket launcher, which leads to Ray's doom. Niko then gets a call and receives Darko's location. When he shows up with Roman, he finds Darko looking miserable as hell. He tells Niko he betrayed their squad for a measly $1,000 to help fuel his addiction and begs for Niko to end him. This gives us a choice. Either we can leave him to exist in this state, or we can exact our revenge on him. There's no confirmed canon choice, and you can make an argument for either one. But this is a kill count, baby, you know this motherfucker's gotta die. After the deed is done, he admits to Roman on the drive back that he still feels empty inside. Despite that, Roman says maybe it'll still be helpful to him knowing Darko is dead, so he can no longer dwell on it and move on to more healthy coping mechanisms. He drops Roman off and meets Jimmy at the club, who asks him to help facilitate a deal with Dmitri. This pisses Niko off, especially after Jimmy threatens him if he doesn't do it. This begins the final 3 missions of the game, and we can choose to do the deal with Dmitri or go kill the slimy rat. It's confirmed in GTA 5 via Niko's Life Invader page that Roman is still alive, so we take the revenge route and go to Dmitri's location. He's on the ship that brought Niko into this country and he has to fight his way through dozens of men to pull this off, thus beginning the longest mission in the game with the most amount of kills. It totals 61 in all before Niko corners Dmitri and makes him the 62nd kill. The next day, he picks Kate up as his +1 for Roman's wedding. And now with those loose ends tied up, he admits it's about time to leave his life of crime behind. But it's not that simple after Niko ruined Jimmy Pegorino's deal with Dmitri, which results in a drive-by that gets Kate McCreary killed. This segues into the final mission with Niko joining Jacob and Roman, who have located a couple of Jimmy's men. They follow them all the way to their boss's location, and Niko tells them they'd be better off looking for an exit strategy, so he can focus on the objective. So they leave him behind to kill 27 of Pegorino's men before the final chase sequence begins. Jimmy gets on a boat and Niko gets on a dirt bike and chases him along the shoreline, eventually hitting a ramp and climbing onto the helicopter being flown by Jacob. Using the attached guns, Niko damages the boat, but they use a rocket launcher to damage the chopper. That leads to both parties landing on Happiness Island. Jimmy's old ass tries to run, but Niko has that sneaky athleticism and quickly catches up. After informing Jimmy that the Pegorinos were seen as a joke amongst the other families, he executes him for the final kill. Roman happily tells Niko they won, and that they can finally start making money freely. But Niko still feels empty and doesn't share in Roman's attitude. A couple days later, Packy calls Niko to say Kate didn't deserve her fate and that the McReary brothers were the sinners in their family, and Roman follows that up by informing Niko that Mallory is pregnant and if they have a girl, they'll name her after Kate. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a thumbs up to encourage that algorithm, and maybe hit that subscribe button for more content like this hitting your feed. The game ends there, and the last we hear of Niko is in GTA 5, when he's brought up as a possible accomplice for the heists, but he was retired by that point. Maybe we'll see him down in Vice City when GTA 6 comes out. He finished out with far more kills than Trevor, and wasn't even that far off from eclipsing GTA 5's total kill count. I'm going to examine the kill counts of Johnny and Luis next in the Liberty City stories, but let me know what other characters you'd like to see me cover in the future. Thanks as always for watching. I'm King Deschain, signing off for now.